will show you how to set up a number of different user accounts and will be followed by a video explaining how to set up privilege sets. Start by creating a simple blank database and call that database anything you like, but I'm going to call it accounts, and I can save that on my desktop. Once that's done, I'm going to delete all of the created fields and create my own fields here. I'm going to start with pk_id, our primary key. I'm going to change that to a number and click on create. And then I'm going to go over to options and make sure that it is a serial number that increases each time. I'm going to change prohibit modification so no one can change that serial number. Click on OK. Now I'm going to need some fields for some information. So I'm going to have user first name. That's going to be text. I'll create that. I'm going to create one called user last name and create that. Then I'm going to have one called user account, and this is going to create an account name. Now we can actually get users to create their own account names, but for simple purposes right now I'm going to change this to a calculation and create. And when I do that, it will ask me to specify my calculation, and I'm going to double click on user first name, then click on the and, double click on last name, and just make sure that calculation result is text, and that should create a user account name that is the first name and the last name. Okay, once I've done that, I can click on OK, and you'll see on the screen we've got record number 1, we've got a username, first name, a last name, and a user account. Just going to change the layout just a tiny bit by selecting all of those, making the boxes bigger and changing the font to a bigger font and placing them there just so that they're easier to see. Now I need to enter in some details of the user name. So I'm going to put in Joe Blogs, and you can see it's created the user account there. And just go into the layout. I'll make those a little bit wider. There we go, so that you can see the details. Super. Okay, I'm going to create a new record. This will be record number 2. This will be Jack Black. As you can see, creates a username. New record, Jim Smith. And one more record, and this one will be Tony Maloney. So now we have 4 records in our database. We can go backwards and forwards through those records like so. But each user is going to need their own account name to log in. Now we've created the account name, but we haven't actually created accounts, and we do that through the security. So next step shows us how to do that. Click on File, Manage, Security. And you'll see that we have an admin account which has full access, and we want that for making any changes to the database, but we're also going to need some other accounts for the users. So I'm going to click on New, and I'm going to create a data entry only account, and I'm going to give that account name the name Joe Blogs. Now it's very important that this is exactly as you typed it in before. It doesn't need the capitals, but there must be no space between Joe and Blogs. And just to make life a little bit easier, I'm going to give it a password of just the letter P. Enter that twice like so. I'm going to create a new password, a new account rather, and this one's going to be Jack Black. Again, no spaces in between, and I'll keep the password the same just so that it's easy for me to get in and out. So that's P. That should be data entry only. Then we're going to create a new one. This is going to be Jim Smith, no space between Jim and Smith, password P, set password, data entry only, and one more, and this one was going to be Tony Maloney. Again, password is P, put that in twice, and we're done on that, and we'll change that to data entry only. So that means they'll be able to enter information into our database. Now, last thing to do is to make sure that our admin account also has a password. So clicking on admin, you'll see there's no password there. So I'm going to put in a password, and again, to make it simple, I'm just going to use the letter P for password. So that's all done now. So we have an admin password that will allow us to get in and do changes to our database, and these ones here are for our users. We'll click on OK, and it will ask me for my credentials for making the change. So I'm going to put admin and P and sign in. Now, to make sure that it makes us sign in, we'll need to go to File Options and take the tick out of login using. That will then force that to work. So I will now exit and log in again wherever I've put my, there it is, accounts, and I'll log in using Joe Bloggs' credentials. So Joe Bloggs, password P, and check that that works. And there we go, we go in. As you can see, it's gone to the 4th record. It will go to wherever it was last time, and I can still go through. But you'll notice that because I don't have a full user account like the admin, if I go down to manage, you can see that they're all grayed out. Close is still an option, sharing still an option, file options still an option. So we are still able to get to all sorts of things that we might not want our users to access. We've locked some of them down, but not everything. So now we can log in as a different user and we can get to these. But you'll notice that even though I'm logged in as Joe Bloggs, I can change Tony's details, which I don't want a user that isn't Tony to be able to change Tony's details. So that's the next step, creating privilege sets, which will stop people from doing that.